My name is Justin Normand. I work with Mass Challenge UK. We are a startup accelerator that's based out of Boston, and we've just launched our program in London this year. So we are a 4-month program that supports startups from any industry, all pretty early stage. And we give them office space, mentorship. We run them through a program with a lot of educational workshop, boot camp kind of things. And at the end of the program, we give away £500,000 in cash prizes to the top 10 or 20 teams. I've been working for early stage startups for several years now, all at sort of varying capacities, but over the past several months, I've been over in the UK building our accelerator program. So that was sort of starting from scratch to come into a new market, get people to sort of understand what we do, how we're a little bit different, and how we can help startups. We have a basis in the United States, but coming into the UK, we've kind of been starting completely from scratch. Nobody really knew who we were, how we were different than the existing models. So for me, it was a sort of an opportunity to meet just a whole different marketplace and kind of explain how we're different and how we kind of stand out. My experience working on a global market, it's been really exciting so far, and also kind of challenging. So learning different cultures, learning how to sort of interact with people more effectively when they do business differently has been really interesting. I think what I've noticed is the way people sort of frame how their business is doing, or how they want you to perceive their business a little bit differently. I found that people are a little bit more modest overseas than they are in the United States, where I think people can kind of pump themselves up a little bit and maybe not necessarily massage the facts, but they like to kind of be very confident and let you know how confident they are. Whereas I've noticed over in the UK, people are a little bit more modest. They like to sort of, they don't want to necessarily brag as much. So some top tips for companies that are trying to do business overseas, I would say you really need to attach yourself to some sort of credibility if you don't necessarily have a basis where you want to get set up. So if you can attach yourself to trade missions from an organization or university trips, things like that, that's really helpful to sort of build credibility where there's already credibility. Another top tip would be to really focus on building social capital. So I think a lot of people will try to go into a new market and immediately wave their sales flag, but the most important thing is building relationships and not going into it trying to explain why you're so great and why your company is so much better than everything else, but instead focus on the relationships in the market that you're trying to set up and then go from there. Obviously, if you can go and set up and visit the place that you're trying to get set up in, that's ideal. Face-to-face is always better, but doesn't mean you can't do anything digitally or sort of remotely. I would say definitely try to figure out where the conversations are online and just be present in those conversations. Find who the thought leaders are, see where they are present online, and just be part of those conversations. Just be present and active. It's not the quickest solution, it's not necessarily the sexiest thing in the world, but it works over time, and it's a really great way to build credibility if you can't be physically in the place that you're trying to get set up. I think just the fact that you guys are able to do conferences like this, all the different entrepreneurial activities, really speaks to the drive and motivation in Derry itself. I think that even though obviously Derry is not the largest city in Northern Ireland, the fact that there's so many great entrepreneurs coming out of here really speaks to the spirit of the city. So I think with people looking to Derry, we're looking for a city where they can sort of tap into that entrepreneurial spirit and that sort of motivation and drive.